KUGAN, CASSIUS for Rifle TV in association with Macklin's Gym Marbella. We're at the press conference of Brooke versus Bizier, 26th of March in Sheffield. With me I have former friend HEARN.
I couldn't believe the amount of attention, just a little spat between me and you, which actually didn't even exist, got last night. It was unbelievable. The texts that I was getting in from fighters, mate, what has happened between you and KUGAN? And at what point when I said, someone asked me why the argument started, and I said, because we went to Nando's and I went to get drinks and you ate all my halloumi. Did you not know that this was a joke? But we haven't done an interview for a while. I can confirm, at least from my side, there is no beef. I've been away on holiday. I believe you've been away on holiday as well. So back to it this week and back for the big show on Saturday night. George Groves, first one of the year.
Yeah, it feels like ages ago since obviously we did that long bit in your office, sort of a two-part thing towards the end of the year. A lot has happened since then, so just jump straight into what we're here for today. Brooke versus Bizier. You said it a while ago now, you wanted to get this mandatory out of the way to free Kell up for a huge summer fight. But we've kind of feel like we've been here before, waiting for Kell to have a big fight, with one of the elite welterweights. But you're confident that this year that will happen?
Yeah, I think that last year, firstly, Bizier is the third defence of his IBF world title. Obviously, coming off the stabbing incident, he boxed Jojo Dan. We had a quick turnaround for Frankie Gavin, and then we were due to fight Diego Chavez, which was a good fight for Kell Brooke. Coming off there, we would have fought Bizier at this time anyway, because we had to clear this. We're forced to fight the mandatory. But the problem is that injury forced him not to fight Chavez. So, sort of, slowed his progression down a little bit. I think, in terms of the credible name defences, we're probably missing one. And I think that would have been Chavez. I think that would have been a good fight. But we're here. We have to fight Bizier. And of course, we want to be in a position where we can have a voluntary fight in the summer. So we have no choice. I actually think that, although Kell is a huge favourite to beat Bizier, I think Bizier's style will make it exciting. I think he'll get dealt with in explosive fashion by Kell Brooke. But, the third defence of Kell's title, and who knows what awaits in the summer. But we have no choice, really, but to dive into a huge fight in the summer, of course. And Kell wants that huge fight. But coming off the injury, this was 100% the right thing to do, is to take the Bizier fight and get that dealt with. And to be honest with you, he wasn't prepared to lose his title. You've seen Fury lose his IBF because of a contractual fight that he had to take. Quigg Frampton's in the same kind of position as well. The winner has to fight Shingo Wake within 90 days. Will they do that? I don't know. But Kell for sure wasn't prepared to lose his belt. And I don't want him losing his belt in the 147-pound division. A lot of people have said to me, why don't you just get rid of the belt? It doesn't work like that. You lose a lot of your commercial value. You lose the thing that you've been fighting for your whole career and your whole life. And of course you want to be champion, you want to hold on to the belt. So Bizier's the fight on March the 26th and then moving forward for the summer.
Just want to refer to some of the tweets that Amir Khan sent from his Twitter account over the last sort of 3 or 4 days. First of all, he sort of refers back to Kell's previous opponents, including Bizier, Dan, and also Gavin, saying that he would rather retire than sort of have, names like that on his resume. The resume's never really been up for debate, has it, Eddie? We know who Khan's facing in his career, and we do know who Kell's facing in his career. But so that's the point that Khan keeps. I don't think
it doesn't really mean a row of beans. I mean, we're not here to talk about who the fighters have boxed. Amir Khan's resume is better than Kell Brooke's resume. Although I would say I think Kell Brooke's best win is better than Amir Khan's best win.
Who do you believe Amir Khan's best win against?
Maidana?
Yeah.
Which was a very close fight, nearly got stopped. And how good is Maidana? I mean, he got beat after that by some, I think lesser quality fighters than Amir Khan. But I think to go to America in Kell Brooke's position, with the inexperience of not having those big fights and beating Porter, I think that was a bigger win. It doesn't really matter. We could sit here and say that actually, of his last 3 fights, Khan, Algieri, who lost every round to Pacquiao, Alexander, who was finished completely and just lost in a 10-rounder recently, Molina, and
Juan Diaz.
no, this is after Juan Diaz, Collazo. I don't think, I think they're better standard than Dan Bizier and Gavin, but I don't think these are particular world beaters. So it doesn't really matter. I mean, you can sit there and analyse the fights and who they've boxed. It doesn't matter. One's world champion, one's a very good fighter, Amir Khan, and a big name, but the fight's there. But it's easy to come up with reasons why not to make it happen. Why not come up with a reason to make it happen and to try and give everyone what they want? But it's frustrating, and I know I've said stuff about Khan in the past, and I've tried to be aggressive, I've tried to be nice, I've tried to be diplomatic, I've tried to be helpful. And when I had a meeting last week with the lawyer on a Monday, I was asked to keep that completely confidential, which I did, until Amir Khan came out and started trying to give his explanation of the negotiations and how we want a 50-50 split, which actually isn't the case. So I felt like we had to fight our corner. I'm not going to let someone just come out and chat shit to you. And we had to say, we had to stand our ground. And I think the public deserve to know what has been going on. And it's frustrating. I could talk to you about it for 3 or 4 hours about the negotiations and the conversations, but we're not going to get anywhere. There's no value in me sitting here saying Amir Khan this, Amir Khan that. All we want to do is get the fight made, and we're moving. When I told Brooke that we have to take less than 50-50 in this fight, he ain't happy. He's thinking, hang on a minute, I'm world champion. This is a voluntary defence. It's 75-25. It's 80-20. But that's the split that Amir thinks he should be getting. Whenever we had a negotiation that was tough, whether it's Froch against Groves, whether it's Frampton against Quigg, we're always dealing with 2.5%, 5%. Now we're dealing with 20% and 25% in the difference of perception in terms of the deal that people think they should be getting, and it's very, very difficult, and it's so frustrating. And 1 minute you're dealing with a lawyer, then you're dealing with a father, then you're dealing with an advisor, and you get the feeling that these three aren't even talking, and because the deal we're talking about with him is totally different to the deal that he wants, and so forth. So I don't know. I mean, I just feel like as time progresses, when Amir Khan sits down to discuss the Danny Garcia fight, and Danny Garcia turns around and says, well, I'm the champion, you're my mandatory defence, it's 70-30, of course, that's not going to go down very well either. But the fact is, to make it so crystal clear for people at home, you have Danny Garcia and Brooke. The Danny Garcia fight will pay you $4 million, $4 or $5 million max. The Brooke fight will pay you 10, possibly more. So it's more than double for fighting Brooke, and it's giving your people the fight that they so desperately want. It's fighting for a world title, and it's making history for British boxing.
You tweeted and said that obviously from the lawyer, you got the feedback that they wanted an 80-20 split.
Actually, probably from the numbers we were discussing, probably even more than that.
Okay, you were obviously tweeted again and said that 60-40 in Amir's favour. But by you sort of offering that, is that because you're assessing Amir's worth in the fight, or you're just trying to get the fight made?
Correct. Number two, I don't see this fight as anything else than a 50-50 split. Brooke is the world champion. Amir Khan is the bigger name. They need each other to make this fight. They need each other to make a payday that will just blow everything else out of proportion. And they need a fight that will go down in history for British boxing. But I know that in Amir's head, he sees himself as on another level to Brooke. So that's why you have to give him the lion's share. And it's really difficult for me to do with Brooke. He don't want to give him. He can't stand him. Because when you look at it in black and white, why should he when it's still double the biggest fight out there for him? Brooke's a world champion. If he's putting his belt on the line, if he's putting everything out on the line, if he's selling out Wembley, if he's doing 1 million pay-per-view buys, you think I'm going to let him fight for 2 million quid? Come on, man. But the reason I'm moving like that, I'm like a broker. I'm dealing with Kel and his dad, telling him, look, come on, if we just take a little bit less, I can get this over the line. And then you get told, oh, it's ridiculous. You want 60-40? That's ridiculous. It's almost like you're lucky to even be in this conversation. That's how they make you feel. Where else are you going to see a payday like this? What do they think he's on? Kell Brook, 100 grand a fight or something. I mean, he's doing very, very well. And there's some big fights out there. He's world champion. He can dive into any fight for that kind of money. But it's like, they refer to, when we were negotiating with Pacquiao and Mayweather, we had to take a much smaller split than we wanted. Well, you're not Mayweather or Pacquiao, and you're a voluntary defence for a world champion. But, look, and I know everyone always thinks, oh, he hates it. I like Amir Khan. I like spending time with him. I had a lovely time with him at Liverpool, lovely discussions. I even like Sarge now. It's quite frustrating. But we just have a completely skewed perception of each fighter's value in this fight. And that is what is causing the problem.
Will the fight happen?
The only chance this fight has got happening is when they sit down and look at the Danny Garcia fight. Danny Garcia, by the way, might turn around and go, how much am I getting for this fight? What's my other options? Can I unify? Can I fight Kell Brook? Can I fight the winner, more likely, of Thurman against Porter? No one wants to give Amir Khan a shot, by the way. You know that, don't you? You know that, because of how difficult they are to deal with, but also because it's kind of like a running thing now. We'll give him the shot. And we'll pay him more than the champion's getting. But this is not a one-off. This is every single fight that he's been trying to negotiate the same problem. And they will have the same problem in the negotiations for the Danny Garcia fight. And that might be the moment when they sit down and go, hang on, 4 million? 10 million? Let me just think about this again. Answer yourself this question. Can you imagine having to deal with losing to Kell Brook if you're Amir Khan? Maybe that is the problem. Do you want to say, you know what, for the money, I don't want to be losing to Kell Brook. And by the way, I think Amir Khan thinks he can win the fight, and he could win the fight. He's a brilliant fighter. It's a 50-50 fight. But I think he looks at Kell Brook and he says, he thinks in his head, I don't want to give you the payday. Rather than saying, how much am I getting for this fight? He says, it's an easy fight for me. He's never boxed anyone. How does that make sense?
Okay, 26th of March. Now, obviously the time scales between the 26th of March and when you want this fight to happen on the 4th of June isn't ages.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, so, we have to clear the Bizier fight. We want the Bizier fight to get that dealt with and allow us to have a voluntary. Amir would want to fight, I believe, in the middle of March if he had the Brooke fight as well. There was talk of going straight into the fight. Again, they've got the same advisor for Bizier as they've got for Khan, so I'm guessing they could have had a chat with him, but we have to deal with a mandatory. Whether it's now or whether it's in September or June, we have to deal with it.
But with how complicated this procedure of trying to get this fight together is, would you have had to have made a deal before Brooke fights Bizier if there's a potential fight for the Khan?
You can always talk to the likes of a Bizier and say, would you like to step aside, my friend, for a small fee? He'd probably say, no, I want to fight Brooke. But I'm fine. Brooke Kell's fine to fight June the 4th and fight Bizier on March 26th.
I'm just saying, would you have to make the deal? Would you have to have that sort of deal for the Khan fight, obviously subject to him beating Bizier? Would you have to have it before then? Is there enough time?
No, you had much before then.
Yeah.
I would say we have to have it in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Right.
Wembley, it's the National Stadium. It's not Leighton swimming baths. No disrespect to Leighton swimming baths. There is, I think it's called the Leighton Lagoon now. Wonderful facility, got the slide going outside, but it's not the National Stadium, so they want to know, and everyone at Sky want to know. We're planning also the schedule for fights moving forward, and yes, those three famous letters, pay-per-view. You know, you've got Klitschko Fury in the mix around that time. You've got Brooke Khan in the mix around that time. You've got Joshua going to be in a huge fight in probably July. Quick Frampton could have a rematch. So it goes back to the jumbo jets landing, that not everybody can land at the same time. But we need to know if Brooke Khan is actually circling. And at the moment, he's stuck on the runway, and there's a problem with the windscreen wipers, and someone's putting some more petrol in, but there's a problem with the hubcap, or the cap of the petrol tank, and they can't get it in. So we're not even off the ground yet, David Brent.
Do you know what? Okay, let's move on from this. Obviously,
we could talk about it all day.
Yeah,
I don't. And again, I hate when people say, "Oh, you always talk about Amir Khan." No, people always ask me about Brooke Khan, and it is frustrating, and I do feel passionate about it, and I can talk about it for days and days. But I reiterate, two great fighters. The fight I want to see as a fan, the fight I want to make as a promoter, the fight I want to provide to my broadcaster, the fight I want to provide to you, so you don't tweet me saying when you're going to make a super fight. You could have Quick Frampton, Brooke Khan, Hey Joshua, all in 2016. But don't make up that wish list thing, because I said that last year.
No. One got made for the year after.
For the year after.
I'm going to get a chance, obviously, to talk to you about the Groves bill on Thursday at the press conference. Yeah. So just a few other things. Obviously, April the 9th, penciled in for the O2. Joshua, likely opponent, could it be Chisora? We know Helenius has vacated the European title now. So
yeah, it could be. I mean, the issue is just being straight up. Is obviously AJ's in a great position. He's just earned a lot of money to fight Dylan White. You know, he's a huge box office smash. I'm talking about box office at the arena, not Sky box office, but he is a smash there as well. The Helenius has vacated. The European titles come up with Chisora. If a deal can be done at pace with that, it's a possibility. If it's going to drag on, we haven't got time, because we've got 8 or 9 other people in the pot. You know, of that pot, you know, we're looking at names like Bryant Jennings. He's a fight that I like. Stavern, I think he's a great fight.
Good fight.
Johan Dufas, who just went 11 with Wilder. I think that's a good fight. Loads of other guys have been thrown into the pot and recommended. Tony Thompson, Antonio Tarver, Steve Cunningham. I think there are 3 that are very unlikely, to be honest with you. I think so, but we want to make a decision this week. So, could be Chisora for the European, could be. I quite like the, you talk about Jennings, Stavern. I like those guys, and I think they're a good test for AJ. I think they're another level to the level that we've been operating. And no disrespect to Dylan, because he was fantastic, but in terms of the fighters that, you know, Stavern or Jennings have mixed with, then I think that's a good level. But saying that, I did speak to AJ last night. We counted, I think, 6 or 7 fighters that have called out Joshua in the last 3 or 4 days. So things must be going really well. I mean, Fury, Hay, Parker,
Joseph Parker, yeah.
Jared Miller,
yeah. Baby Miller,
Chisora. I think. Yeah, about
I
6.
interviewed that Jared Miller about 2
I've never really watched him.
2 or 3 years
He looks
ago.
okay, but he speaks well.
Yeah.
He called Anthony an English muffin eater. He went through them all. He went, Wilder, I'm coming for you, man. And Charles Martin, you a bum. And Andy Joshua, you English muffin eater. That was good.
Yeah, I interviewed him. Big Baby
He's a
Miller,
character,
he's called. But I'm assuming, obviously, with Joshua sort of ranked with the IBF, that's another option for you this year as well.
Do you know what?
Charles Martin.
We're in you look at us with the governing body. So I think that our furthest away, we're number 12 with the WBA or 13. With the WBC, we're number 2. With the WBO, we were number 2, but Charles Martin was number 1. So I'm guessing we're going to move number 1 with the WBO. With the IBF, we're probably going to get offered a final eliminator. Oh, the other Carlos Takam is a fight that's been talked about as well in an IBF eliminator. We may end up getting, probably later in the year, a final eliminator with Joseph Parker, which is a really good fight.
Tough fight as well.
Yeah, I rate Joseph Parker. I mean, he hasn't boxed. No disrespect to the guys who've been fighting, but they're kind of the level that AJ was boxing 6 months, 10 months ago. You know, like he boxed Bergman at the weekend. I think, you know, that's kind of like a Jason Gavin style opponent. Do you know what I mean? So he's a little bit behind us, but he's gonna. These kind of fights, they're going to happen if people keep winning. Parker, David Haye, included in that mix as well. You know. I think Tyson Fury, I think if he beats Vladimir, I think he'll take the Joshua fight at the end of the year. Again, you talk about the kind of double millions that you talk about for the Khan fight. That was so David Brent, wasn't it? Double millions.
Well, surely the Joshua Haye fight is very not that difficult to make.
Only really, again, probably splits.
Yeah.
Tough because Haye's a huge draw, Joshua's a huge draw. You know.
Splits.
Splits are always difficult. Again, sometimes you're like a broker. You're trying to massage both sides to try and give up. You know, and I don't think it's been told before, but you know, with Quigg Frampton, I had to move to make the fight in the end because no one would move, so I moved. What I'm working for.
All right. Again, I said to you, I will talk to you again this week. I just want to finish off by some big news. Obviously, Callum Smith will fight Mohammadi, final eliminator. Is it a final?
Final eliminator
For Badu Jack. Unbelievable.
So that mandatory is due in September.
Yeah.
So he'll fight on April the 2nd, Liverpool Echo Arena. It's a really great fight for Rocky Fielding on that card. Great fight, really tough fight.
I haven't revealed that yet, have you?
No, press conference next week. We're looking to do, obviously, Dodd against Cardle rematch on that bill as well, so that's a really strong bill. March 26th here, you've got Dave Allen against Richard Towers, which is a great fight, eliminator for the British heavyweight title. Adam Etches, and a big fight for Luke Campbell. Announced today that Campbell's now based out in Miami with Jorge... Huh? Forgotten his name.
Rigondo's trainer.
Yeah, Rigondo's trainer. Sorry, Jorge. I'm going to tell you it now. Kick myself. Jorge Rubio.
I just said that.
No, did you? I'm
I
sorry.
Just Jorge Rubio.
Yeah, so a big move for him, and Luke Campbell is one dedicated young man. He's left his wife and kids, not full time, but in Hull. He's gone over there for 7 weeks to train with him. So it's a big move for him. But this night here in Sheffield will be a make or break night for him. So no stone unturned. And so we go from, got a massive run of fights. Actually, March the 19th is Kevin Mitchell against Tatley for the European title in Finland. March the 26th is Brooke, Bizier, Campbell, Etches, Towers against Allen. April the 2nd is Callum Smith against Mohammadi for the European WBC Silver final eliminator. Dodd against Cardle, Rocky Fielding, a really big fight. April the 9th is Joshua, and looking to make a couple of world title fights on that bill as well. Looking to make some big domestic clashes as well, which we'll talk about in due course. April 16th we're in Leeds for Josh Warrington. And of course, before all of that, you got Quigg Frampton on February 27th.
Small amount of Quigg Frampton.
So coming up they're filming it on February the 9th. Is the gloves are off
With
Quigg Frampton, which is going to be great.
Okay, listen, my battery's running out. Just finally, I just want to ask.
For real, or
yeah, I'll show you right there. You see?
All right, okay, right. Believe you.
Just want to ask you, do you know what happened between Fury and Carl Froch?
I've heard the stories. Yeah, I mean, but
what?
Nah, it's handbags, isn't it?
So did something happen or didn't something not happen?
No, not really. No. I think just a little bit, like,
words.
Not
heated exchange.
Nah. You just love it, don't you? You're after anything. Before I know it, the title of this video is going to be Eddie Hearn discusses heated exchange between Carl Froch and Tyson Fury. So the answer is no. I think Carl might have said, look, calm down, because he was all going, and then there was a few back and forth, but nothing.
Nothing.
Sorry, mate.
That's not what you told me in the car. That's not what you told me in the car. But I understand if you don't.
It was actually, but
we'll see. Oh, look who's turned up.
doesn't it?
All right, Eddie.
All right, mate.
We'll catch up with you.
That was the first one in 2016.
Yeah. Sure, there'll be many more.
How's your 2016?
It's been all right.
Where'd you go on holiday?
South Africa. Joburg.
Safari?
Yep.
Did you?
Yeah.
What was the place called?
What was the
Safari area called?
begins with a B?
Must have been unbelievable there.
No,
You can't even remember the
it
name.
was. It was. I was with lions,
What did you think?
tigers, crocs.
What did you think?
I zip lined over a crocodile pit.
Did you? That's a shame.
What? That never fell in. It's good.
What do you think? Yeah, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've also noticed that you and me have
Put on
some
weight.
Christmas timber.
Yeah. Put on weight. It's time to get training.
It is big time. It's disgusting.
Absolutely. There's probably 1,000,001 things. Again, I want to talk to you about, but we can talk
We'll
about that in
catch
the
you on
week.
Thursday. Groves against De Luisa.
Yeah.
Some cracking fights on the card this week. Ryder against Kamitsky.
Yeah.
It's a must-win for Johnny. Hibbert against Martin, the Commonwealth light welterweight title, great fight. O'Hara Davis, Mackenzie against Young, Hall against Ajidua. It's about 15 fights on the card. So Saturday night, 7:30, a little bit earlier, squeezing an extra fight on the live transmission. And if you haven't got your tickets yet, come down. I'm about 5,000 so far. We're good.
Not bad. Not bad.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
No worries. Eddie Hearn, thanks for talking to iFall TV. We'll catch up with you in the week.